I have a confession. I did not like Hollow Knight. Kinda. Back in September of 2020, Hollow Knight just came out on a PS Plus as a monthly free game, so I added it to my library and tried it out, aka I got stuck in the Forgotten Crossroads and gave up. I knew this game was probably decent, but I just thought it wasn't for me, and my thoughts stayed the same until 2023, where my friend Michael really bigged up this game to me, so I tried it again, and all I can say is this game is perfect. Kinda. So, let's start with this game's history. In August of 2013, longtime friends artist Ari Gibson and designer William Pell entered the game jam's Ludum Dare, with Ari's co-worker artist Rowan Fraser. These would be the original founders of Team Cherry, and the theme for that year's game jam was 10 seconds, and they made Hungry Night, starring a familiar Vestal where he had to slay insects and collect cherries every 10 seconds or die. The game was riddled with performance issues and whatnot that gave them the loss, and a 1 out of 5 stars. They participated in more game jams, but another Ludum Dare came around, and the theme was Beneath the Surface. And everything just seemed to click. See, William was still fascinated with the original Knight that they had made and wanted to do more with him. So after the theme was announced, they made some concept art that made everything seamless. So as any rational individual would do, they both quit their jobs and went full in on Hungry Knight. Scratch that, Hollow Knight. They first wanted to perfect the movement, wanting the player to always feel in control. They achieved this with immediate acceleration and deceleration, with a jump that feels completely up to you when and how much height you get. They get this philosophy of letting the player feel in control throughout the rest of Hollow Knight. Another big part of the creation of Hollow Knight was the map. The mapping needed to feel seamless and not confusing like many Metroid Vanias tend to be, so they added Corner for an NPC that will be around each area to sell you a map so you can slowly piece together the world and expand your map as you explore more. They were stunted, they needed money but obviously didn't have any, so they started up a Kickstarter where they wanted 35,000 AU, and near the end of the event, it skyrocketed to 52,000, letting them add all the extra content that they put into the event, plus a Wii U port.
What the hell is even that?
So they hired more people to help, got in office, and went back to work. See, Hollow Knight's art was primarily done on the fly. They would make a concept and 9 times out of 10 they would implement it. The music done by Chris Larkin, which got more time to refine, having a piano and viola heavy track, while even using motifs to connect events at similar moments. By the end of development, they had to scrap many of the huge elements of the game, like the wildly different bone forest, which was filled with lava, but by that point, they went way past their Kickstarter and PayPal money, spending 90 to 100 grand using loans. So they finally finished up the game and tried to spread as much word of mouth as possible, and even hiring Matthew Griffin to market the game, getting YouTubers to play and creating as many interviews and events that they could go to in order to build up hype. Hollow Knight was a sensation, selling millions of copies and getting universal praise by critics. Team Cherry didn't stop there, because they had to make DLC because of their Kickstarter goals. So they made 4 DLCs, those being Hidden Dreams, The Grim Troop, Lifeblood, and Godmaster. They also wanted to make a second playable character in Hornet, a vital character for the story of Hollow Knight, but instead opted to make a new game, with her being the main star. For now, that is a very rough story of Team Cherry and the creation of Hollow Knight, but does this game deserve all of its praise? We will see. We start our journey with an unfamiliar traveler, that being us. We jump down into a hole like it's an average Tuesday. Geronimo! We find ourselves in a tutorial tunnel where we learn all the basics, you know, moving, slashing, jumping, and being a higher being that can suck up white fluid called soul. Soul will primarily be used for healing and spells. Now, we bust open this door, and woo! You come to Dirtmouth, a fading town that has been slowly dying out. Apparently, something draws the citizens to the underground. Wealth, honor, glory, who knows? All that the old man knows is that once you go down, most never come back up. So we do what any rational bug does and jumps headfirst into the well. We immediately felt how hollow this place is. Pun fully intended. This somber place is called the Forgotten Crossroads. As the name implies, this will be the main hub of where we go from place to place. So we started this media journey by going down to my boy Cornifer. He is our map guy. We get maps of each place we visit. The map isn't full, but it is nice to get your bearings. We make our way through the Alaskan bullworms and Hawk-Tuah machines. After that hell, we got up to our first stag station. The stags were once the main way of transportation through Hollowness. The bell's ring brings them place to place. The last stag does not know what befell his comrades, nor does he remember much about Hollowness. And you bring him place to place rekindles his lost memories. We face a big man before going into our first boss fight, the False Knight. This shit is not hard. His moves are simple. He will swing, jump swing, and big swing, or just jump. You need to make sure to jump if he's going to do a big swing and try to keep your distance on jumps. You have to hit him when he falls and his mag head pops out. After you hit him, he will swing wildly, boulders flying from the ceiling, and the floor starts to break. Now his swings will also make boulders, and eventually he swings on the ground too much and he falls through the floor, and in the process immobilizing him.
I'm sorry, little one.
After that, we go over to the Ancestral Mound where we get our first spell, that being the Vengeful Spirit from the Snail Shaman. Wait a minute, did I just get Bill Cosby'd? Apparently there's an infestation in this mound, so we had to go and get rid of the trash. And funnily enough, this armadillo man called an Elder Balder, where we have to give it space so we can him to the grave. Now we can leave our virginity intact. We repeat our actions at a new Elder Balder. This gives way to a lush new environment, that being Green Path. This place was once a vibrant place full of greenery, still lush and green, but amped up sevenfold. It's definitely overgrown, and the creatures not only are a part of the greenery, but also will use it to intimidate you. More importantly, we are being watched. That biddy is watching and running from us. While on the prowl, we find ourselves a merciless hunter that gives us a hunter's journal. As we kill monsters, we get more info on the monsters, and we get the hunter's personal opinions on them. We find ourselves in the midst of a moss charger, a small creature that disguises itself in huge clumps of moss, making it seem more dangerous. He is a crafty creature, but not a tough one, so we kept following the mystery baddie facing a moss knight.
'Tis but a scratch.
We quickly get to the static station here and go on to face our next boss, and baddie. Her name is Hornet, and she hates our kind, so screw you, let's fight. Male privilege 1, her moves aren't that bad. She basically dashes at you either from the ground or in the air, throws her needle, and makes a sphere of doom. Winning got us a Mothwing cloak, basically our dash. No, Cosby, again. Now we get some practice with the cloak and make our way back to the Forgotten Crossroads and fight a Gruz mother. All they do is flow and have a tantrum. Once done, they also explode into a bunch of Gruzes. Grease? Grays? Then we meet Salbura, the flirty charm dealer, and Sly, a merchant who was higher than Senator Socks. We go back to Dirtmouth getting a quill and compass. The quill updates our map and the compass shows us our position on the map. Now to the fungal waste, where we see a true display of infection. These creatures are all taken over by shrooms, filling them with spores and even some spores that explode. We make our way down, meeting the neighbors. Before we see a familiar face, we try to follow and realize we don't got them hops. So we make our way deeper, finding a tribe of mantises. Not only do they have annoying attacks, but we also see that they are intelligent. And as we can tell, the infection only affects lesser beings, and these mantises are not lesser. But quickly found out my hops were indeed deadly. Up we go. Oh fuck. Damn it. Okay, it's fine. Oh, I swear I got out here. But we hammered our way through the tribe and got ourselves a Mantis Claw. What the Mantis Claw does is lets us cling onto walls and jump off them. Then we faced the Mantis Lords and lost them twice before giving up. We narrowly missed death from Shroomal Ogre. Then we made our way to the Queen's Station before realizing I was broke. But not broken enough for Conifer! So we hobbled our asses back to where we saw Hornetlass and did some D1 parkour and got ourselves into the City of Tears, an almost magical place where it's always raining and still guarded by the soldiers that once defended the capital. We make a pit stop to the nailsmith who bougifies our nails, making it less broken and more deadly. Then we make our way to the center of the city and find a sick-ass cinematic and a new ally, Hornet. She's fine to help you if you are truly prepared to help this forgotten place. However, you can't go through to where you would need to go, so we have to go up through the magical sanctum where we find these spellbinding bitches and more importantly some cute mistakes. Also a relic heaver that will take any valuable relics we have for a fair compensation of Geo. They use their hands with a soul warrior that slams into the ground and can break your ankles, casts fireballs, and rushes you, which was a prelude to the Soul Master, who does everything but worse. He charges, he slams with extra force, pump fakes you, shoots multiple fireballs, and has a spinning fire wheel attack ripped straight out of Cuphead. You defeat him to get juked out again into his second phase, where he slams down in quick succession and floors you with fireballs, which is pretty easy, but still be careful. Then get Desolate Dive, your downward spell and your one-stop shop for getting rid of crumbling floors. With that, we can leave the city, taking a pit stop to Dirtmouth to get myself a mask piece. Those and soul shards are pieces that once enough are found will give you an extra mask or some extra soul. With our Desolate Dive, we can now go into the Crystal Peak, an interesting environment showing a very vibrant purple and pink color scheme. I wanted to quickly trail off to tell you why I am talking so much about the place's colors and feel. And that is simply because of the fact that Hollow Knight masterfully uses colors and consistent aesthetic choices to make every single environment feel different, important, and prominent. The enemies in this area are a lot more versatile, using the crystals as more of a defense mechanism, stopping you from hitting them either in some areas or just altogether. We need a bench and you had to throw hands with a Crystal Guardian to get that bench. His moveset is beyond simple. He screams and some crystal beams come out of the roof, he shoots some beams at where you are, and he jumps. Stay on your toes and get the timings down to stop hit the boss with ease. An NPC that I have been neglecting, even though important, is Coral. His whole shtick is that he knows these places but doesn't exactly know why. More of a wandering warrior, figuring out his purpose and what his goal is. We do some tough parkour and get ourselves a nice little Metroid Easter egg, and the Crystal Heart. You charge it up and then you can fly into one direction straight forward, allowing you to either bypass some tricky areas or get to previously inaccessible ones. So, using the Crystal Heart, I got my happy ass to an elevator that should make getting to and from the mines a breeze. So then we headed back to the City of Tears, getting ourselves a one-stop shop to the Royal Waterways. Having an aquamarine or greenish vibe to it, the enemies here are either worms or worse than worms, really pushing that theme of stank into this place. Duh, my boy. That's not what I meant when I said stank. Dung Defender here can either throw shit that bounces for a while, fly up with shit that dissipates immediately, or swims in the shit. This is definitely one of the harder bosses I have faced so far, but still more than manageable as long as you can pay attention to a couple of shit balls at a time. Defeating him lets us open up the valve of the waterway, giving you access to Isma's Grove, which I totally did not put off by mistake. If you head down straight after the Dung Defender, you can make your way to the Ancient Basin, opting for a different color scheme, that being a muted black and white theme that feels even more muddled with the grays and the surprisingly sparse enemy types, or enemies in general. I got a map from Corfer and then accidentally gave the rest away to a charity case. We went through the left, having to fight off some monstrous Malarks before finding your way into a room with a slain vessel. This vessel reanimates with Light Seed and decides to be in an absolute mood. His moveset is interesting. He's very spasmodic with his jumping and lunging either on the ground or air. He also slams into the ground and 4 infected balloons come out and he kind of auto fires a bunch at you. Now that moveset shouldn't be that hard. What is hard is annoying ass infected balloons, which only have 1 HP, but at the same time are urgent and need your direct attention. So, I died. No! So I went back down and immediately got sidetracked with a path that I forgot to explore. I got through, cheeks clenched, getting myself a pale ore, more on that later, and a fistful of death. No! Now when you die, you leave behind a shadow, and to get your money back and all of your soul bar, you need to kill that shadow. But if you were to, let's just say, die while you still haven't killed your shadow, you lose all your money permanently. After I reclaimed my even more broken ego and shadow, I bought a bench near the fight, and put on the Defender's Crest, a charm I got from the Dung Defender. It gives off an odor, helping some charms and having some unique interaction with NPCs, but more importantly, it does 1 tick of damage, making the infected balloons useless and making Broken Vessel a cakewalk. He gives me Monarch Wings and or our double jump, letting almost any platform once unreachable reachable. We make our way back into the City of Tears, now having the second half to explore, showing this side as the noble side, having rich looking bugs and way bigger and brawlier knights. With our newfound area, we could use a new elevator, taking us to a ritual-esque site. Cosby, you motherfucker. You were destined to lay sleeping for eternity, but the cheek-saving queen of the seer saves us and gives us a shiny new dream nail. The dream nail can allow us to interact with these dream-catching sprouts, see the thoughts of enemies and NPCs, and challenge some cool new people. As you do these things, she will reward you depending on how many dream points you have unlocked. The resting grounds are the places we are at, which share blues close to the waterway, but still looks almost ethereal with the coloring. And this place in general has a very diverse look to it, whether that be the dark and scary catacombs, the peaceful blue lake, or the mystical soul glades. The place is very much a magical place in many ways. We went back to the Sea of Tears, upgrading our nail with a pale ore. These ores are incredibly rare and can make a weapon seriously lethal. Then I quickly made some annoying adventures to go through Green Path, fighting a huge moss charger, and getting myself Howling Wraith, the upward spell and the most powerful spell. I went back to the Crossroads, where we saw a dramatic change. The Crossroads were infected. A couple of key events can make this happen, one being defeating the Broken Vessel. This changes this once bleak environment bursting, literally with infection, making all the enemies more deadly and destructive, in a sense making even the first area into a pain to adventure through. This was also I could go over to the Grub Daddy. I failed to mention that as we go around Hollow Nest, we can find ourselves trapped grubs. If we release them, they will go over to the Father, where he will give us either a bunch of geo or a cool item. Then went all the way back up to Crystal Peaks to give myself another pale ore by going all the way up to the Hollow Nest Crown, the highest point in Hollow Nest. We then went back to the Tutorial Tunnel. Going back to our spawn, we can go to the left for a cool secret, the Howling Cliffs, a pretty boring area having similar colors to the Crossroads, but just a lot more faded. And that's kind of the feel of this place, a barren wasteland that doesn't have too much going on to it. We find a dojo with Nail Master Mato, where he teaches us one of the 3 nail arts, that being Psycho and Slash. I personally never use these, but I know in the right hands they could be deadly. We went and sold our relics before going to the Stag Station flooded under the King's Station, entering the Kingdom's Edge, going for a very bleak look with beiges and slight greens that makes this place feel off-putting, but at the same time, intriguing. We went here for one purpose and one purpose only, to get my lick back. Hornet needs us to prove that we are worthy of taking the mantle of king and doing whatever it takes to rebuild this kingdom's glory. This fight is just the same as Hornet 1, just faster, and with 2 new moves. One of them is a parry into a slash, and she calls balls of spikes to hang around the screen, which are the real headache. I like to stick to one side and only deal with those balls instead of scrambling around to get them all. But, just like Hornet 1, once you know her attacks, it isn't that hard to whoop her ass. We go into the King's Shell, which shows us where all this weird dandruff stuff is coming from, and gives us a king mark, signifying to you as king, and giving us admin authorities. The king's carcass is now crumbling, and we get trapped and swiftly saved by Hornet. We found Nailmaster Oro and Guy's nail art, that being the dash slash. We beeline to the ancient basin, going down to a point where we couldn't go before. The abyss, if name didn't clue you in, its primary colors are black, like my soul. We primarily fight those basin bugs, then once at the bottom we fight our siblings, which do 2 masks of HP and don't give us soul. We make our way up some platforming to the lighthouse, so we can go and get some light on the lake, which is swarming with void tendrils. We then get our shade cloak, basically invincible dash with small cooldowns, and lets us get to places blocked by void. We then meet back up with Hornet, where she talks about how this is the place that we were born and clothe ourselves with its shadow. And we learn that Hornet was also born in this place, and, you know, unlike her, we are empty. Some would even say, hollow. We make our way up to the Watcher's Tower with a new goal, to kill the Dreamers. The only thing stopping us in the city is the Watcher Knights. They only slash at you, jump, and spin dash at you. Sometimes the moves can be unfortunate and trip you up, but the real Knights is the fact that once you kill one, another one comes into play. And as you kill them, more reanimate. This one was one of the only bosses that took me a bit of time, because for some reason I kept getting tripped up, and the constant continual of Watch Knights definitely didn't help. No! I fucked it up. We venture up the tower and go into the Watcher's dreams, where we kill them and suck up their dream juice, and lift one of the seals off the black egg. We then went down to the sewers in search of Isma's Tear, and I killed a fluke worm for gits and shiggles. Isma's Tear, in layman's terms, just makes you immune to acid, letting you go through some annoying areas easier, finding secrets underwater, and accessing new areas. We then went to Fog Canyon, a vibrant place full of green, blues, and pinks, making this one of the more vibrant areas, and the only enemies here is jellyfish. Big ones that explode, doing 2 massive damage, and small ones that exist. To be completely honest, the only thing that tripped me up here are the eggs with the explodey stuff. We then find ourselves in front of the library with Quirrell, who also feels compelled here and also has this weird feeling of familiarity with this place. We then go to fight Umu, a giant jellyfish that either gives you your own personal trail of electricity, or does it in random places all over screen. We can't hurt them, but Quirrell can, and gives us time to hit him. When facing this guy, all I'll say is be quick and decisive, because his electricity can act quickly. Once done, we can see Monoma the teacher, who is sealed in a tube. She actually wants to be slain, so we can finish what they couldn't do. And Quirrell used to know her, and has the key. Convenient. Now, with the second seal broken, we make our way to the Queen's Garden. Basically green path with a couple blues, and actual characters other than greens. The enemies here are more sophisticated as well, showing the wildlife here is more dangerous and more tactical. But more importantly, we find ourselves back in the fungal waste, where we go into Deep Nest. Now, when playing a game like Hollow Knight, most people shouldn't be shitting bricks. But I definitely am. Whether it's the dark and creepy air or the creepy crawlies on screen, this place legit for the first time is anxiety inducing at best, and downright horrifying at worst. We explore, seeing the wonderfully creepy and annoying cast of enemies before going over to the distant village. We now go into one of the houses where I was just begging to be Cosby'd. We wake up in webbing and darkness, where we explore this weird place and surprisingly find the last dreamer, Hera the Beast. We go and suck up her essence as well, giving us the final seal broken. We see Hornet there looking depressed that we just killed her mother, and if we peek into her dreams, she's thinking of another way that this could play out that could be better. And we Spectre Mouth, where we went headfirst into the black egg, releasing the chains to start the final boss fight, the Hollow Knight. What? No, but actually I love this reveal, because everything that has been said about you made you think that you are the Hollow Knight, but in reality, you are actually trying to go to the Hollow Knight. Now, it is obvious that the term is more of a broad statement, and we are ultimately also a Hollow Knight, just not yet the Hollow Knight. To do that, we need to slay this pussy, and oh does he have a wide moveset. He starts with only a flurry of slashes, a dash, and a parry, all of which I just shade cloak through, but eventually he screams in pain and gets 2 more moves. One, he shoots out some projectiles going up and down the screen, and he also slams into the ground and has infected pillars come up doing 2 masks. So, make sure you are in those. He starts to stab himself eventually, and gains 2 more moves. He slams his body on the ground like a lunatic.
Ooh, that brother's floating in the air.
Then he levitates and shoots a bombardment of projectiles. Once you defeat him, you suck up all of the infection, and get locked up, becoming the new Hollow Knight. This ending is the most bare bones of endings. The main game has 2 more endings, and you get another one in Godhome, and an ultimate secret one as well. Plus, there's so much side content, DLC, and whatnot to go through. However, I'm 4,600 words in, I'm guessing around 20 minutes into the video, and 9 hours into Hollow Knight. So, for the sake of this video getting out this year, I'm cutting myself off. If this video were to, let's say, blow up, I will consider playing through the rest of the game and giving you my thoughts on it. Speaking of which, now let's talk about perfection. This was the root of the video because in many senses, I feel like unless you have a skill issue, no one who has given this game a fair try, at least from what I've heard, disliked it. The movement of this game is definitely one of the things that is perfect. Everything you get just builds on top of the already flawless running and jumping. The attacking transversely also rocks, making the slashes feel easy and clean to hit, and the spells are also pretty seamless. This game also checks off the bar in side content, giving you lots to do, with quite a bit that I didn't even do. I finished the game and yet only have a little over half the progression done. Art and music are also phenomenal. I think the background music and gameplay can speak for that. This game executes everything flawlessly, but no game is perfect. There are bosses and little shits that do get on my nerves, and I don't particularly like the idea of pantheons, mostly for platinuming the game. But what really is perfect with this game for me is the first time playing. This game was so fun to explore, and you never knew what to do next, which often made you feel lost. In most games that would be a massive turnoff, but for Hollow Knight, it was quite literally the opposite. As I got lost, it made me more excited to explore all the random entrances I didn't look through, making me explore more of the game and wanting to figure out where each crevice leads until I find something of use. Never has the first playthrough of a game made such an impact on me, which is why I call this game perfect, because the experience, especially the first time around, felt perfect. It was seamless, and most importantly, genuinely fun. 10 out of 10. Wish I could play for the first time again. Silksong is the very much anticipated sequel that everyone swear down exists. Once that comes out, I will for sure stream it and make a video on it. Also, if you would like to see me play the rest of this game and the DLC, and maybe attempt something with the Pantheon, I would say something ridiculous like 1,000 likes. If you like the video, or me, consider subscribing, and have any thoughts of your own on Hollow Knight, leave them down below. And, until next time, see ya.